Most days, hey?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I love it.
That's
Welcome. I forgot to take the picture off, but never mind. Um, okay. Good afternoon, everybody, and good evening wherever you are in the world. We are in the UK on crossroadspodcast.uk. I've got to say this because people want to know, so I thought, well, I'll tell them. And also, we're on radio, so it's Crossroads Radio slash Podcast UK. So there you go, guys. And don't forget, thank you very much for everybody following us at the moment. Um, I, I just can't believe what the numbers are at the moment. But anyway, we have got Warren back from his travels, and he's been away, and he's a lucky person. I haven't been away yet. And actually, what I want to talk about today is about when children break up for their holidays, for the holiday season. What's it like to be a parent? How do you
I
cope?
challenging. Actually, I just did a podcast episode on this exact topic on how to keep your kids from getting bored during winter holiday or during summer holidays.
That's correct, yeah, and that's what I had planned for this evening.
It
So
is
anyway,
it's hard because it's a huge change. You know, you're used to them a regular routine of getting them out of the house at for us it was almost 7 o'clock in the morning because of the commute to get them to school, that sort of thing, and then having them home around 4 o'clock. Now, you know, you get up in the morning and you have to figure out what it is you're going to do to keep them busy all day. And so our calendar is busier than it has ever been, with play dates and camps and other activities. I've taken some time off this summer in order to make sure that I'm spending some quality time with the kids, taking them to our local amusement park and water park, those sorts of things. So it's a challenge, but I've kind of taken that challenge and run with it and said, how many great things can we get into our calendar for this summer to make this one of the best summers the girls have ever had?
yeah, because sometimes when you're busy, because you got your own business and everything,
Yep.
and the trouble is when you're busy and when your wife is busy and the children are kind of on school holidays, say, or whatever you have over there, you know, it can be a busy time.
Yeah.
You don't know what to do. You don't know who's got. Some people don't know who the children where the children are going to go. And but I believe where you are in America or in the United States, you have all these summer camps and
Yeah.
you can get rid of your kids for the summer. That's what I believe in. And I used to watch a film, and I was thinking, is that what they do actually do over there? They have a summer camp where you can kind of like get rid of your kids for the summer and have them back in the spring.
Well, yes and no. So they're usually 1 week long summer camps, and so there are day camps and then there are overnight camps. And so here in the Vancouver area, we have tons of them because we've got so much wilderness for them to set up camps and that sort of thing in. The problem was this year, because everybody was waiting for COVID restrictions to be removed,
Right.
none of the camps are open for July. And so they opened for August, but everything was booked. And so normally we would usually try to get the girls out for a 1 week overnight camp, right? Where they go and stay with other campers, and there's camp counselors and those sorts of things. They do canoeing and kayaking and archery and all the like really fun sort of activities that go foraging and all kinds of stuff. But this year, everything was booked. So I've had to kind of create my own activities in camps and those sorts of things. I mean, you and I have talked about this before, how important morning routine is for kids. And during the summer, that is even more important, is to make sure that you're not just letting everything go and allowing things to kind of fall apart. Because once they lose that routine, it's really tough to keep them on track to, have any sense of normalcy through the summer. So, we still have alarms going off in the morning to make sure everybody's getting up at a reasonable time. Now, my kids aren't teenagers, so I imagine that will change when they're teenagers. But breakfast routine is similar. Showers and brushing teeth is all the same. Getting dressed, so they're not sitting around in their pajamas until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I've tried to stuff their time with play dates. Either we have kids over here because I'm working from home from the summer, which is really nice, or I'm dropping the kids off at friends' houses.
See, the trouble is, what the title I got down actually was inviting peace and calm into your holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I put down. So I bet you, in your house at the moment, it's not even those titles. Calm, is it?
Well, I'll say this: having a routine creates more peace and calm. The second I get rid of routine, that's when the peace and calm disappears. So I just heard my oldest daughter has just come back in the door. She took our dog and my middle daughter for a walk to a friend's house so that they could go play at the local elementary school playground. And so, because that's kind of a normal routine thing for them in the morning, if we don't have an activity, my oldest takes the middle one and the dog over to the local park.
Right.
And it's fantastic. It gets them both out of the house. It gets them some physical activity, gets the dog walked, and they love it. They're really enjoying having the responsibility, and it makes them feel much more grown up.
Right. So is it calm in your house? Is it peaceful in your house?
That's a loaded question. It changes moment by moment, right? Because I have 3 girls, they're after each other every once in a while. If they spend too much time either on technology or playing or anything like that, and I don't break it up into different activities, they get after each other, and that takes away the peace and calm. But at other moments, when they decide that they're going to play something together, it's very peaceful, it's very calm, and I'm able to get my work done, and they're developing their relationship. So this little walk that they just went on is perfect.
That is only for what, half an hour or to an hour, is it?
Yeah, about an hour.
Right, okay, so the trouble is, though, see, anything could happen outside, can it? Like, they could fall out, or,
Yeah.
I don't know, the dog went off its lead and went in the river or something, or
Yes.
whatever. So they fall out, so they come back and they go, oh, Mum, so-and-so, Dad, so-and-so.
Yeah. And that happens. That happens.
Oh.
We're very fortunate. We live in a very safe area. We're in a small community outside of the Vancouver area, so it's very safe. And we've made sure that the girls understand there's a hierarchy amongst the 3 of them. That the oldest is responsible for the younger 2, and so the younger 2 are to defer to the oldest. If we're not around, they're to defer to her for instructions. And we've really tried to ingrain that, both from a responsibility perspective for our oldest, who struggles with responsibility if it's not explicit, and from a perspective that the younger 2 need to make sure that they show her respect, so that she feels that responsibility. Given that she is a ADHD child and dyslexic, that sort of thing, having that sense of responsibility has really increased her self-confidence, and it's boosting her personality.
Okay, so how do you make a calm family?
Oh, keep them busy. I think is the best strategy for creating calmness is having lots of plans to keep them going. You know what is probably the biggest thing is staying calm myself. The children
Right.
feed off of our energy, and if we're manic, or if we are stressed and anxious or those sorts of things, they pick up on that and they mirror it. So if you remain calm and relaxed and flexible, patient, those sorts of things, they're most likely to mirror those same emotions.
Right. Okay.
It's when my wife and I get overly anxious or stressed or those sorts of things that we see our daughter's levels increase as well, and then you kind of feed off of each other, and next thing you know, it's just absolute chaos. So modeling is the biggest thing, making sure that they're seeing the traits that you want to see in them exhibited from yourself.
Okay. Okay.
It's something I fail at all the time, but it's something that's always in the back of my head that I need to try to do.
Okay. So, how can I? So it says here, how can I calm my kids at home? So, what ways do you do? How do you calm them down?
Well, I guess it depends. If I'm in the middle of a situation where they're getting amped up, where their levels of stress or energy are getting too high, one, showing it myself, staying calm, offering physical contact like a hug, cuddle, those sorts of things, really helps to calm them down. Offering an alternative activity, so trying to change the course of what they're doing right then to something that is more calm. So moving it from jumping around the house to coloring, and then down to reading a book or those sorts of things. Like just trying to create transitions into more calm activities. But at the same time, the kids need to get that energy out. So I don't want to always stop their high energy activities. I just want to point it in the right direction. So getting them out to throw a ball around to each other, setting up the badminton net in the backyard so that they can smack around a badminton birdie. Doing those sorts of things so that they can get that energy out, but in a more productive manner.
Okay. Good. Good. What do you think of what do you think of the benefits of being calm and with your children?
Oh, it's huge. As a parent, when you're calm, you get the same response from your kids. When you're anxious and yelling and that kind of stuff, you get the exact same thing from your kids. So it's that mirroring piece is so important. It's really hard to do as a parent. It's probably the hardest thing that we do as parents is staying calm in those situations. But it's the most important thing. So, doing breathing techniques, that kind of stuff, that was something I learned a few years back when I was having trouble managing stress, was just taking a couple of deep breaths. There's an incredible book by a guy named Dan Harris called 10% Happier. And he talks all about the benefits of meditation and breathing and those sorts of things. He was a news anchor who had a panic attack on the air. And so he talks about his story of moving beyond that panic attack and being able to deal with stress and stressful situations and those sorts of things. And I took a lot of that to heart, and tried to change the way I interact and react with my kids. There's an idea called acting versus reacting. So you try to focus on having control over your actions rather than reacting to a situation. So having things, the way that you act fits with your primary desire for how you want to interact with the world, rather than allowing the world to drive how you interact with it. And I think it's a really important thing to constantly remind yourself that you need to be in control of it. You need to be acting the way you want rather than reacting to situations.
Yeah, I had that down actually, Breven. I put down when tensions are high, when tensions run high,
Yeah.
deep breathing, finding the space to cool down
Yeah.
before going to sleep. Talk about relaxation to calm the body and mind, and practice deep breathing and relaxing muscles together.
When Rachel and I are both home as well, we try and make sure that we're kind of tag teaming. We're taking each other out of situations where we're starting to get where we're starting to overreact. So we'll turn to each other and go, maybe why don't you take a break and I'll handle it from here. And it may only be 5 minutes that the other person can handle it. Like if Rach is dealing with a situation with our kids and things are getting really bad and I step in, I may only have 5 minutes of time that I can handle that situation. But that's 5 minutes that Rach has been able to go and calm herself down, and then she can come step back in and take over for me. And so it doesn't have to be, I'll take over and I'll deal with this whole situation. It can be, why don't you just take 2 minutes to go and take a breath and kind of calm yourself down, so that when you come back, the kids see the right modeling that they can then emulate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Also got down here, sit in a quiet and comfortable place. Put one of your hands on your chest and the other one on your stomach.
Oh
Take a
yeah.
slow and regular breath in through your nose. Breathe out your mouth slowly. Repeat the process about 10 times. I hope you don't hold your nose for 10 times.
It's kind of like trying to stop hiccups. It's the same
Yeah,
sort of thing. Like if you take as deep a breath in as you can, hold it for as long as you can, let it out for as far as you can, leave that for as long as you can, and that sort of thing, like 10 times, you get total control over yourself.
Yeah, yeah. I had a guest on yesterday, Warren.
Yeah.
And she was really good, and she comes from your neck of the woods, actually.
Oh, okay.
And she was doing breathing techniques with me,
Mm-hmm.
and she got me into a kind of like telling me to close my eyes, and we were breathing, and and it was, and I said to her, look, I was really calm. I was just kind of like, actually, I was falling asleep. You know what I mean? And she started laughing at me. I thought, well, it's. But sometimes though, it's like, when you're kind of like, they say it's like being in the present moment,
Mm-hmm.
don't they?
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, you're just, when you're in that moment and you're trying to get away, trying to get all your stresses and everything
Yeah.
away and everything and forget about them. It's but the trouble is though, with children though,
Yeah.
the trouble is children though, you never, I believe, at the end of the day, if we can't let our children run around and let them just run around and enjoy life, then I'm sorry, we are doing something wrong, aren't we? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think
Yeah.
so?
Yes. Yeah. I think our kids need to have that freedom for creativity and expression and all those sorts of things. They need to be able to get that energy out. It's just a matter of channeling it, right? You need to ensure that it's not destructive energy, that it's not chaotic energy, that it's not harmful energy. So staying on top of how that energy is directed is really important. I was going to say, as you were talking about that, I think one of the things as a parent that creates chaotic situations is we assume that the energy or activity or actions that our child is taking is something that they're going to do in perpetuity, that it's something they're going to continue doing, and that everything they do is thought through and is done with intention, or that we're setting a precedent by allowing them to do something. And I think that's totally wrong. And it's something Graham and I talk about on the Flawed Dad podcast all the time, is that we have to stop assuming that our kids are manipulating us with every action. Sometimes they are manipulating us, that they're trying to get what they can out of us, but that's natural human interaction. And it's actually a very valuable skill set to learn for later in life. But that when they do something, they don't assume okay, if I can do this, I can get away with it forever. And they're not always pushing the boundaries. That's something that we think about as adults. It's not something that they are always thinking about as kids. And if you can get that out of your way in dealing with your kids, it's so much easier to deal with all of your interactions because you don't stress about everything.
But don't you think children these days are so, what can I say? They are so crafty, aren't they?
They're certainly, they're smarter, right? They're exposed to more things, and so they're more conscious of everything around them, of emotions and all those sorts of things. But at the same time, there's still a level of innocence to our kids that we have to embrace. And we can't assume that they behave in the way that we see on TV or in, the corporate world, where a lot of things are manipulation and strategizing and taking advantage of one another. Our kids are not trying to take advantage of us. They're just being kids. And it's important to constantly remind yourself of that.
And the trouble is, Warren, can you imagine it if all of a sudden our kids are just taken away from us? And we're kind of like, we're on our own and we've been used to it, and all that quietness, we soon will miss them, won't we?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was telling you before, my wife and I were just away for, 6 days without our kids. And by the fourth day, we both missed them desperately. We were loving the time on our own to reconnect and recharge and, rebuild the kind of foundation of our relationship and remember that, we are husband and wife even before we're parents. But at the same time, we really missed the interactions with our girls. We missed the energy and positivity that they bring into our life and the new experiences, right? We would be missing out on a huge portion of our life experiences if we didn't have these three girls. As much as not all of our experiences have been positive. I mean, dealing with a suicidal 8-year-old is not something I would wish on anybody from an experience perspective, but it has certainly put a lot of things in perspective for me, right? It has made me appreciate life and appreciate my kids because I could lose them at any time, right? It's changed how I look at the world and how open I am with talking about things. Before all this stuff happened with my kids, as much as I was a fairly open person, these were things that I never would have thought of talking about. But it's caused me to want to share this in order to help other people and to and make sure that they don't have to go through the same things that I'm going through.
Yeah. I tell you what, the other week we got a really, really big response about what we were talking about the other week. We did get quite a good response. I think we nearly, there was quite a few thousand people that were, kind of like, liking it. So, you're doing a really good job. But the trouble is, though, what we've got to say to ourselves is this, that sometimes we can be over the top with our children where we say, look, behave. Sit there and behave. Now, I'm guilty for this.
Me too.
When my children were younger, I used to say, look, just sit there, behave, watch television, or you go to bed.
Yep.
And things like that. But the trouble is, we've got to let our kids live, haven't we?
Yep. I'm so guilty of that because that's how I grew up, right? I grew up in a traditional WASP family where children are, seen, not heard. And so
yeah.
That's very much, I have a problem with letting that go.
And when you were told to go to bed, you go to bed, wasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's not what it is now.
So it's something that I constantly work on is not being like that because I recognize how important creativity and expression and emotions and everything are for my kids and for their intellectual and emotional development. It's it's hard because we're conditioned through our experiences, and so you're trying to, it's like trying to chisel something into granite. Like it takes a lot of work to do it, to make that change to the way something looks. And that will be something I work on for the rest of my life, is figuring out how to do that with my kids. But it's a worthwhile activity to do for the rest of my life.
Brilliant. And we're ending on that, I think. That's really good. So how was your holiday without your children then?
It was amazing. It was absolutely wonderful. We went fishing, and my wife didn't grow up doing the same sort of things that I did when I grew up, so I got to share some of my experiences with her. And when I'm out on a boat fishing, it feels like it's my where I belong. And so she got to see that, and she got to see passion and calm and all those sorts of things. And because I was modeling it, that's what happened for her too. And so she was able to catch a really big fish, a 48-pound halibut, which is
well done.
Amazing. And it was fantastic. It was such a great trip.
And did you cook it?
We cooked a little bit of it and brought the rest home for, we have a lot of fish for the next year. We brought back about 100 pounds of fish.
Well done.
Mm-hmm. It was amazing.
And also the biggest catch you ever got is your wife.
That was the biggest catch of hers. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, this is Warren, and thank you very much, Warren. As always,
Thank you. Thank you for always having me on. I love coming on to talk to you. I missed it so much last week, and I'm looking forward to next week.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And if you've got any titles or anything, what you want to talk about, let us know. And
will do.
Everybody out there, thank you honestly, I can't thank you very much. I was kind of like looking in the UK podcast and stuff, and all of a sudden saw our name on there, particular podcast, and I thought, what? I can't believe it. I know we were up there somewhere, but guys, you are brilliant. Keep sharing and sharing and sharing. And thank you very much for all your sponsorships, for everything what you did. We started this last year. Our anniversary is next Thursday. And then we've been for a year. And I just can't believe it. But people like Warren come on here. They don't get paid. They want to try to help people. And if you listen and, from their experiences, everyone will help you to get along. Warren, thank you so much.
Brilliant. My pleasure. I look forward to seeing you next week, Steve. And congratulations on 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you later, guys. Be back around about 9 o'clock, sir. Yeah.